Let's start with you and the Prime Minister. Really, I described it earlier as the diplomatic tightrope between the China relationship on the one as the demands out of the Pentagon emerge. Some say a coincidence, some believe it might have been intentional, just as the Prime Minister arrived in China for this visit, Bruce.
Well, with apologies to Abraham Lincoln, you can please some of the superpowers some of the time, all of the superpowers some of the time, but never all of the superpowers all of the time. And Kieran, this is just an example of that. Australia has a very important trading relationship. Its most important trading relationship is with China. At the same time, it has an extremely important defence relationship with the United States. And so it has to walk that tightrope. It's something that the Americans don't have to worry about, but it's something which we do need to do. And if we do it well, then we can have a good relationship with both sides. If we do it in a blundering sort of way, like Scott Morrison did when he was Prime Minister, we invite huge tariffs from the Chinese. So at the moment, we've got a fraught relationship with the Americans in trade. I think they should be looking at that, about our defence capabilities and the importance of our relationship with them then, when they're thinking about how they should deal with Australia with regard to tariffs too. I mean, allies should be rewarded with better deals when it comes to tariff arrangements. For Trump at the moment, everybody is just fair game.
Kerry Chikarovsky, our diplomats, and not just the Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister, but the diplomats in the government more broadly, they're earning their keep at the moment, aren't they? It is a challenging time right now.
It certainly is a challenging time, and I think we could be a little bit generous and say that given the chaos that sometimes prevails in Washington, it may have just been coincidental that those remarks were made, and rather than a strategic placement of those comments. Who knows what happens with some of the people over there. But I think the issue is that it is a difficult time, particularly for the Prime Minister, because the Prime Minister is in China, and I heard his comments. You know, he has been there before. He made the point he's not the first Prime Minister who's gone to China before they've gone to the United States, so I think we can all accept that. But the problem is that most of the times when Australian Prime Ministers were going to the United States, they were being welcomed with open arms. And I think that's the point that the Prime Minister is trying to juggle at the moment. Be kind to China, but hope that when he gets to a meeting eventually with President Trump, that it will be cordial, that it will be friendly, that it will be with open arms. And I think that's the big concern for a lot of the diplomats, and I think that's the big concern for a lot of people who are actually looking to do what they need to do both with China and the States. The defence people are concerned. I think the diplomats are concerned, but the trade people are concerned. I think everybody's concerned that this balancing act is somewhat difficult, and it's kind of like sitting on a wire fence at the moment for the Prime Minister.
Yeah, this is exactly where the leaders and our political leaders as well really are tested in terms of their diplomatic skills. I want to ask you about something else, Bruce, because the ABC reporting today, this incoming government brief, some of it was redacted, some not. I was a bit sceptical when I saw this as a mistake. Again, you know, just to be a little bit sceptical like we were with the US timing of their statement, I was thinking, is this really a mistake? Is this expectation management because of the government's roundtable? I'm told by senior figures in the government this was a stuff-up. It's that we're giving them too much, I think maybe giving them too much credit in terms of their strategy here, a bit Machiavellian, but it looks to me like typical expectation management. I'm assured it's not, Bruce, but either way, it plays in that sense, doesn't it?
Well, it may, but I don't think that was the intention. I think someone just stuffed it up, and that happens from time to time, and it probably happens a little bit more often than you'd expect, having come across some interesting FOI applications in the past. So, and I do think that the Treasurer has responded sensibly. He said, well, you know, there's no surprises in the question about housing because he's already flagged the need to do more in housing. And I think that's a reality that everybody is fully cognizant of. You know, housing is such a critical problem, and it doesn't matter how much you do, it's never enough. The Prime Minister's already ruled out tax hikes to GST, so I don't think that's going to happen. But Jim Chalmers was also saying, well, you can do, when he does have his productivity roundtable, he fully expects, certain interests to be saying, well, look, you could change the tax here and make some compensations in other areas with taxation to make it more effective and efficient. So I don't think they're ruling out changes to the taxation regimes. No. It's just the way in which it's applied, I think, is going to be the question.
Yeah.
And the importance being to increase productivity rather than relying too much on tax.
Yeah, Kerry, there's nothing too damaging in that element. If it, as Bruce says, it was just a mistake, and the Treasurer said that as well. But talking about the need to reduce spending, increase revenue, I don't think there was any economist who will fall off their seat reading that.
No, and Kieran, I've always subscribed to the theory when it comes between a choice of conspiracy and stuff up, go for stuff up every time. But I also think that the problem that the Treasurer has is that how much flexibility does he have to actually change taxes? What is he going to trade off? I mean, the GST has already been ruled out, so you can't be increasing the GST. So what tweaks or what substantial changes can you make that will actually leave people better off? I mean, and that's the issue. We need to increase need to make sure that we can pay for all the spending that we're being involved in. We don't actually want to make people's lives more burdensome. So if you start to increase tax burdens, and that's going to be a bit of a difficult problem to sell politically, but what other taxes can you change? Are you going to talk about changing corporate rates of taxation? Are you talking about changing capital gains? Are you talking about changing, what we've already talked about, the change to the superannuation? Is there going to be further changes there? So every single change that they can possibly put on the table is going to have consequences. Yeah. And those consequences are going to be the difficult political decisions that the government is going to make if they are genuinely talking about tax reform.
Kerry, Bruce, thank you both. I look forward to seeing you next week.